Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Gaines, and Ed Mann.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Three Devs and a Maybe. This is a in-person episode. I'm here today. My name's Ed Mann. I'm here with the sensational Michael Budd. How are you doing, Mickey?
I'm sensational.
This is weird seeing you face to face. We did
know.
This before, haven't we? I think we did it at my old place.
We did, yeah,
was,
with Fraser.
Yeah.
And Lou?
No, it was just Fraser, I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that was like a year ago. That was almost a year ago. Actually, it was over a year ago.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's like over a year anniversary.
I'm going to make an executive decision, actually.
Uh-oh.
I know we hid from this last week, but I think it's pretty public now. So can we now congratulate Fraser on his engagement?
Yes, we should.
I'm just
Congratulate you. Yeah, well, it's out there now.
Well done.
So,
Yeah.
Interwebs, Fraser is getting married.
Who would have thought,
The man, the myth, the legend.
I would never, ever expect him to get tied down. So, but congrats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good move for him. So.
Good move, yeah. Three devs. I don't mean three devs and a maybe stag do.
Yes.
That's all I hear.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
God, it's going to be a rager. Code fest. I'm sure all his other mates would love it. Us just coding. Like, hey, we're doing a hackathon. What is a hackathon? Yeah. The geekiest ever stag do. That's it. When I get married, I want to do a hack fest. You know, I want to do just a full out, a stag fest, it's called.
Yeah. No, 48-hour non-stop coding.
With Red Bull, that's it.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Red Bull. Or the dark roast coffee that I...
the dark roast coffee is good.
You like in?
Yeah,
I know you mix it with a bit of milk, though,
Nice.
so that kind of gets rid of the bean a little bit.
There might be a bit of slurping in this episode, I'm afraid, but...
Lovely.
Gotta get it while it's warm, right?
But yeah, so it's an in-person episode.
Yeah.
You're around today.
Yes, because we have been doing some, not really yet, but some sort of ethical hacking, I guess. Stress testing, shall we say, of the system that I've been working on all year, which was a 6-month project.
But like every 6 months, like every 6-month project, you times that by 2.
Yeah.
And then you add another,
Good rule, actually. Good rule. Yeah, that would have been better. But, it's been good. And hopefully, obviously, that project's nearing to an end, and hence why we've met up today to really just check that it is secure. So,
it's been really interesting. I mean, it's going great, sir. I think it's going well.
Well, I think I agree with you, and I think, yes, try and prevent things from happening, but always be prepared that it will happen.
Yeah, it's trying to mitigate kind of the things, isn't it? And like the areas that you can hit. I mean, one of the things, because you're building a very API-centric system, it's dealing with things like the rate limiting and stuff, because obviously you don't want people, using the system, I mean, again, you will understand and you'll base your assumptions kind of when it goes live on like kind of typical workflows of how people use the system. Maybe there's a couple of API requests in quick succession you need to handle and stuff like that. But you'll find general use cases and you'll build up a good heuristics on that. And then the nice thing is what we've been implementing using Kong, which has been great, being able to implement that, put that middle layer in there, is getting rate limiting out the box essentially out of that, because that way then you're able to say, look, I only want 5 requests in this set per second, and we've been testing that with the Apache benchmark, which has been good. And you're able to tweak that, and you're able to tweak that number away from the code base. And I think that's the nice thing, isn't it? It's being able to say, look, this is a problem that Kong can deal with.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in my code, because I know we were looking and we're thinking, I know you mentioned that there's something in Laravel that can deal with rate limiting on its own out of the box.
But not in Lumen, which was interesting. But now, having spoken to you about it, I agree that doing something not in code is much better, actually. So
I think separating, because it's not really a concern, like your domain doesn't really care how much it gets used. The reasons why you care about, I think, request limiting and rate limiting is mainly about load and around kind of nefarious usage. You have told me, that there are certain things that people may want to try, and certain people and companies that may want to try to, do so with your service. So making sure that these things are in place, that they can't just keep hammering the site and stuff. Yeah. I mean, protecting yourself against something like a DDoS attack is nigh on impossible, because I mean GitHub famously got DDoSed a couple of weeks back, or maybe a couple of months back, and there was always that problem. Well, it wasn't GitHub actually, sorry, it was I can't remember what the DNS was, but it was their DNS company that they used got a DDoS attack, and then there was a lot of problems with GitHub, Twitter and things.
Gotcha.
But you can't really, I mean, that is just high load and unexpected load and handling that. And there's so many ways that, you know, people could go around doing that you can't really say, oh, I'm protected against a DDoS attack. Because if GitHub's getting it, then, you know, how are you protecting yourself from it, really?
It's a really scary world, isn't it, in terms of what we have to protect against and what we're expected to know now. And especially with this project, like being told at the beginning that expect to be attacked because of the competitiveness of the industry. It's crazy. But I don't know. Was it Tesco that was attacked and all the car detail?
Yes, indeed. They had it just a couple of weeks back.
Yeah. Did it ever come out like what that was or how it was done? Or
I think it's always interesting with the media, isn't it? It's the initial fanfare, and they've already got it out there that Tesco were to blame. Oh my God, you know, people's credit card details have all been leaked or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't really care about the why. The why, you know, it comes in the back pages at the end, you know, like a couple of weeks later, or you could probably find online, but I'm sure there's going to be a report written up on it or something, or someone's got some knowledge, but yeah, it probably is. I mean, it goes from, there's so many levels with this whole pen testing kind of fun we've been trying to do, you know, where it's from a simple kind of social engineering attack, you know, of like working out someone's password to dictionary attacks, you know, automated dictionary attacks to, I just go up to the server and I plug in a USB pen and I copy them like that. Yeah. So you could, you know, you've protected, you're like, I've rate limited, I've DDoS, and it's like, great, you know, no one's going to be able to take my site down. Well, I could just unplug your site. You know? It's a funny one, isn't it? Someone could just go up to it and accidentally or nefariously pull out the plug. Yeah. And then you're down. Yeah. And it's
that like old cartoon where like the fire door, the emergency door of the office is like open and someone just walks in and just unplugs the server, like you say. It's like, you know, you can have all the best sort of middleware, all that kind of stuff in place, but if you physically, you know, it's not protected, then, you know...
I think it's unfortunate. I mean, again, as you say, like, as a developer now, specifically if you're dealing with the full stack, you really do have to know a lot of things, and you have to put your hat on in different areas, you know, where you're looking at the code and you put your programmer hat on, and then you're going to look at system operations kind of hat on, you know, where you're like dealing with like the flow of which all the different parts are. Maybe you're dealing with, you know, like how things work, you know, you're saying like you've got, you know, your client, you've got your API, you've got your database layer, you've got some bits in between and stuff. And it's like, okay, where are the points that we have to deal with, you know, with these areas? But I mean, so what we've done essentially at the moment, so we're halfway through this lovely day, is we've got Kong installed in the middleware. So we've now taken out Apache now with your PHP instance and stuff. That's behind Kong. You know, Kong. So Kong, for people who don't know, I've got an episode that I spoke to one of the developers there, or I think he was their like public person talker. I spoke to him it was last December, which is kind of crazy. Wow. But so Kong is an API gateway middleware, and essentially it allows you to do exactly, when we were started talking about it, I was like, this is pretty much on the tin you need. You know, you're dealing with APIs, you want to deal with, well, OAuth, I know you've already implemented that with PHP stuff, but you know, a nice thing, hopefully what we'll be able to do as well today is be able to move that into Kong, let that problem be not PHP's problem again, is that a core domain? You know, do you care? All I care about is, am I that user? I don't care about how you became that user. So OAuth, you know, Kong deal with that. And then dealing with rate limiting and stuff, and also the logging that goes around that. And the nice thing with Kong is that because it's essentially just an Nginx installation, OpenResty with just use Lua bindings to actually do the code, you can just take advantage of anything that Nginx can do. So you can provide your own config there. So you could provide your own stuff. But it's been really successful, I think, so far. We've been able to get that set up.
Seriously impressed with it. It's really, really good. The amount of stuff you get for free is incredible.
It's almost out of the box, isn't it? We were able to like play around with rate limiting, and so we did like the Apache benchmark stuff. And I think we were going to look into some pen testing stuff, like using Backtrace. I can't remember what's the distro called now.
Kali,
yeah. I think the thing is, it's picking your battles as well, isn't it? I think like on a day like this where we're kind of looking through a whole system. I think definitely, you know, one of the things we want to do next is look into Datadog stuff, and kind of the monitoring there and handling the health of your system. Because I know you were saying like last week on the podcast that, you know, these cron jobs, they just happen, and you're like, how, you know, do I know that they've happened and stuff? And it's really dealing with kind of heartbeat situation systems and stuff there, where you're able to say, yep, this process, is it processed within the last hour? Okay, brilliant. If it's not, I probably should know about this because something's gone wrong, why that is the case.
I think, like, I know there's a place for both, but I'm probably swaying more now towards the idea that okay, providing your attack doesn't lead to the release of private details, your customers' details, then it's pretty worth spending more time on the idea of the process of respawning and getting things back up and running if you are attacked, rather than the prevention. But I guess if time resources was no problem, you would probably spend equal time on both, right? But
I think you'd have separate teams dealing with it all, and that's the problem, isn't it, as well?
But if you're one man, then
it's a one-man band. But the thing is, there's that pro and con of everything, isn't it? Because the one nice thing about having a one-man band like you are is that you can adapt with the product. Yeah. So the change in needs, the change in what's going on, right? You can swift and understand the context of everything. You're juggling the whole mind map in your the whole structure of the system and the whole way it is in your mind, and you constantly can think of that. Whereas if you break it up into tasks and you delegate, they will only care about certain tasks. Now, and it's it's exactly like the microservices problem, where you'll build microservices up and you're like, are you sure that this is actually a microservice? Should this maybe be incorporating this? And you've already broken it up, and it's the whole Sam Newman way of saying, build the monolith and then find out where eventually the actual real microservices will come out of, and you'll be able to split them up. It will come from that, and what you may find is you're a one-man band now with this product, but over time, once it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you'll find points where you're like, actually, this whole kind of process or part of the system can be broken out. But you've done a good job of that already, really, dealing with the clients, dealing with the API and their own as their own applications. But then obviously moving into like the microservices stuff and everything. Maybe in the future. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Nice. It's going really well. It's really interesting. But what else have you been up to this week then, man?
So anything really new that I can talk about is I was implementing Go Cardless. So anyone who follows me on Twitter would have seen that I was tweeting how amazing it was. But yeah,
Did they give you free money? It's like, oh my god, they give you... So what is Go Cardless then?
So yeah, it essentially allows you to create like direct debit sort of agreements with your customers. So for anyone who's, doesn't really want to pay by card, especially if you're handling things like subscriptions, direct debit can often be a nicer way of going. And Go Cardless, the thing that appealed to me was just that, I guess in the same way that Stripe payment was, for me, like one of the first gateways to come out that was developer friendly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, for sure. And but Go Cardless is very much the same, and it's so painless to set up. Like, I've not fully integrated it, but I've not got much more to do, and it was just absolutely painless, like maybe 3-4 hours work to put it in. So,
Is it a similar kind of developer happiness factor definitely. That you got from Stripe?
Oh, 100%. And the fact that it's a composer package as well, it's just
they
so
give you
easy. Yeah, so easy to integrate. So
it's interesting, actually. I was talking to Gavin, the CTO at my builder, where I work. I don't know why I said it like that, but my boss, essentially. And talking about Stripe and stuff, and how actually they use, like, the World Pays and things. So we use World Pay at my builder. Not the nicest, but you do get a nice share. Like PayPal is a little bit more of a ball ache and stuff to use. But actually, under the hood, Stripe will use something like WorldPay or these things. So it is just a middle layer. You know, it's probably not dealing too much. It has to use these other services, but it's just wrapping that up for you.
I mean, I think I've used most of them now, like WorldPay, SagePay, all those.
You pretty much, you've actually touched on a lot of them.
Yeah. And it's really interesting, actually, having used most of them to see how different they do it, and particularly with the encryption and the security side of things. But the thing I don't like is a lot of them, the documentation guide or development guide is like 50 pages, and it's like, when are you going to get a chance to read through 50 pages of that to...
And you want, as a developer, we want the quick fix to see, okay, does it work and do what we want it to do? And then we'll delve in. Like, you need that quick start guide. Yeah. Like, what did we hit for immediately when we got to Kong, get Kong? We just installation quick start guide. Let's get it set up. And if we run into problems or we need more stuff, then we go in. I think that is where, like, the whole Rails thing won out, Ruby on Rails, where it's that sensible defaults, configuration, convention over configuration. Where, you have sensible configuration defaults, but it allows you at the end to be able to configure it to your heart's content once you've unlocked that box and you've committed to the product or you've committed to something. Like, now you've added that into Go Cardless, you'll be like, actually, I need to do it this way instead, or maybe I need that, and you can slowly configure it as opposed to, by the way, here's a 50-page 50-page guide that you have to read before you even think about adding this to your to your project. Whereas opposed to, you've got a composer install, add that package, set it up, job done. And that's again where Stripe won out, because it was just, I mean, you see it on the quick guide, you see how, this is how you make a payment. And it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think two other things with that is basically sometimes the response you get when you're trying to like integrate these things will be just very Boolean, like, false, didn't work. And that's really, it's a real nightmare when you're integrating.
How did it actually,
yeah, like, give me a clue here, what's going on? And the other thing is, alongside that really is, how easy is it to play around with it in sandbox mode? And most payment gateways give you a sandbox mode, but it's not always easy to do that.
And sandbox is like making sure that so it's not payments, you don't really have to do any payments.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, the sandbox mode for Go Cardless, again, really painless. You just flick a switch when you're ready to go live and change out of that mode. So, I would definitely recommend it, particularly for anyone who's got like a subscription model. It's just really, really nice. So, but other than that, no, I don't really have too much to update on.
How's the project going? The Masters. The Masters,
the Masters. So,
the Masters.
The Masters. So the code is handed in. So that was really good. I kind of like found a really stupid error that I'd done where when I was like scraping the content of websites, I basically I was catching an exception and not really doing much in that catch. And so I hadn't really noticed that some of the scrapes had failed. So I got no content for them. And that was leading to the algorithm putting them right at the bottom of the rankings. And I was realising that's where it was going so really badly wrong. So I managed to find that this week and fix that. And
so how are the results here? Because once you've done that, like, are they a bit more kind of realistic, comparable to?
If you were like to say, number of rankings in position, it would still look really poor. Like maybe I get like 15 out of 100. But from a more sort of, more of an overlook, if you, at a glance, the data is pretty good actually. You can see patterns in the data, which is what I'm looking for. It would,
and that's correlation between what they determine and you determine as being kind of a relevant.
Yeah, particularly
result.
With regards to like element types. So this is going, a bit more into marketing, but for me, like one of the big things I wanted to find out was how important are backlinks.
Yeah, that's true. And what is a backlink then?
So backlink, so for anyone who doesn't know the history, I've probably banged on about this too much, but so Google's original algorithm was strongly based on PageRank. With PageRank, you can literally download the paper
because they did that as their Stanford dissertation, wasn't it?
Crazy. So it's really interesting, but. Yeah, PageRank basically, without going too much detail, works on the amount of links you've got coming in, but then the amount of links you've got going out, but also the reputation of the links coming in. Because obviously, like I'm sure you remember, like in the 90s, probably even now, but like link farms were all the rage. Like, you can buy 1,000 links.
And that is someone's putting on a website your link, essentially, or multiple websites links to your website to make you look like yours is more important. Because the idea, I suppose, their idea was it Sergey and... what's his name? Is it
Larry?
Larry and Sergey, yeah. So their idea was that it isn't the fact of like, because Yahoo and things, they were doing like kind of manual processes, weren't they? Like directories where people would add to that.
They were awful.
This is the problem, exactly. They were unmaintainable once the web got to a sufficient size.
Yeah.
But their idea was that people who have interesting content typically will share it or something, or the interesting stuff will be, people will link to relevant stuff or interesting bits.
Yeah, and I think there's I've probably got this horribly wrong now, but I think there's something called the Mafia Effect. Don't know why it's called that, but the idea is that if you're towards the top of the rankings,
the Mafia Effect.
The Mafia Effect.
Oh, Mafia! Mafia! I was like, it's like you kill one of them, I'll give you a horse, and you're.
But I think I'm right, and that's what it's called. But basically, if you're towards the top of the rankings, and obviously you're going to get more clicks. So then you end up with like this vicious cycle of, because you're near the top, you're getting more clicks, which then could, keep pushing you up the rankings, even though your content could be really shocking. So I personally, just my point of view, I don't think that backlinks are that important anymore. And my data does go a long way to supporting that.
Do you think that it's because of like link farms and stuff? They've had to tame it over, search engine optimization changes they've done.
Yeah, because it was just too easy to manipulate, and the problem is, at that time, obviously, Google didn't have the data it does now. But like I say, now it's got its analytics code on most people's sites.
Everyone's site.
It's got a much better metric. In fact, that you can, measure engagement. So what could be better than understanding how long people spend on a particular page.
It's not just, this is linked to on this website. It's how long did I spend on this website?
Exactly.
That's crazy. That's scary. You know, like, what viewport area, content port was I on the site? Because they can see which exact place in the site you're on.
And there's also an issue of like context. I can't think of any good examples off the top of my head, but you could be searching for something that would. Well, actually, one example, one of the search terms I measured against was SEO in Kent, as in the county in the UK. So one of the top results that comes up for me.
But we're obviously in Surrey at the moment.
We're in Sussex.
Sussex, sorry, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. He thinks I live in Sussex. He likes to at least say that, yeah.
But one of the results that came up was some guy called something Kent, who also does SEO. So there's that subject of context, which is hard for Google to judge. And then someone once said to me, like, Google's ultimate aim is like Pinocchio, like he wants to be a real human. So he's trying to understand like a human and things like that, the context. Whilst I know if I'm searching for SEO in Kent, I would know it's a location. You
know the intent because you know your background of what exactly you're after.
Yeah.
And also maybe I would know because I'd be like, well, yeah, you're probably looking for someone because you live in Kent, etc.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at SEO in Kent as opposed to I'm looking for someone named Ken, who does SEO. That's really interesting, actually.
Exactly.
One thing I was actually going to ask is because Google now tailor our results personally to each one because you have an account on Google, and then they know. So
your location and your search history,
all that kind of stuff. So when I look on Google, I may find that my results are different to someone else's. How did you go around that then? Did you just not include session? I don't know.
The way I did it was basically when I did the search, I used their API, which is it CSE, Custom Search Engine. So I don't think, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think that takes into consideration your location or anything like that. And if it did, it would have taken it off the server that I was running it from.
Right.
So I think doing it that way gave me a bit of a clean slate in that respect.
So it's just an API call that you did instead of...
Yeah.
That's cool, yeah.
And plus the other factor was that because really then when I was running my own algorithm, I was only running it on the results that Google returned to me. So then I was just really giving a score for the ones I already knew were in the top 100. Yeah. So I got around that factor. But I mean, it's tricky to say. I mean, in some ways I'm disappointed by the results I've got back, but... I mean, like I said to you earlier, the only similar kind of experiment I could see, well, this happens a lot actually. A lot of people obviously want to know how Google works, but the kind of a serious one I looked at was one where people had tried to replicate the results that Google Scholar brings back, which for anyone who doesn't know about Google Scholar is like a Google search specifically for academic papers, that kind of thing. And their conclusion reads pretty much the same as what mine will be, which is that, they found some interesting results, but they don't really have a clue. And it says, they raised more questions than they did answers, which will be the same as mine.
So you just copy-paste Scholar with just the search.
Just change the author name and hand it in. So that is the education system. But no, I can't be too...
That's the education system. That is the world has come to.
Yeah, hopefully my markers aren't listening to this podcast. But I'm actually... I can't beat myself up too much, actually. I think it works quite well.
I think you're doing like an impossible task where the secret source... Like, obviously they exposed the initial secret source, which was, they say, the page rankings. And now, and we spoke about it last episode, now that they have so many tools that people use, and also you have an account with Google, that not only is your Google account, like, to go when you're on Google, you have Google Chrome, where they now know everything that you view, and they have hardware, software APIs that allow them to integrate now. With Chrome, who's to say that they don't know exactly what viewports, which things you're hovering over and things, and all this kind of stuff that's going back to them.
Yeah.
So
they probably do.
They know so much.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's this whole thing of it's very hard. But to be able to find any correlation, I think, as a result.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. And one of the interesting things I found was there was that LinkedIn result I was telling you about. It was Guy whose surname was Ken. So yeah, he was on LinkedIn, and so I looked at the source. I wanted to look because that was appearing. It was appearing down the bottom of my own rankings, which seemed odd because in like Google's own, it was towards the top.
And especially those kind of different. Yeah, exactly. That was a very strange.
The really different one. So in that one. One of the problems was I hadn't actually scraped the content, which is a bit embarrassing. But when I had scraped the content, it still wasn't doing very well because I'd basically taken a list of HTML element types from wherever, or the latest ones. And the one that was just littered with these references to Kent SEO was not a tag that I had. It wasn't like an official HTML element. It was something that I think was quite bespoke to LinkedIn. I don't even know if it would have validated in HTML. I don't know.
What is it? Is it a custom tag or is it like a meta?
Yeah, it was like a meta tag, but I'd never seen it before. And even when I searched for it, I couldn't find anything. So I could have just been being really stupid. Don't know. But anyway.
No, it's interesting though.
Yeah, but it was the only section of this webpage that was listed with the references.
That sounds very spammy.
Very, very spammy. Yeah,
that looks very because obviously I think Google tried that because I remember like back in the day it was very easy for you just to be able to put hidden content in.
Yeah.
So you'd have like loads of crap at the front of top of your page that you would then just display none on or something or display white or something. But Google's clever enough to know like CSS and working out appearances and stuff and like
keyword stuffing, all that kind of things, which Google gets around with. Checking that all your keywords are in the content, checking that because that's like an obvious check. But again, I mean, controversially maybe, but I don't think Google looks at keywords anymore. Like I really don't. And in fact, I read something that kind of from someone at Google that kind of suggested that.
So it's funny, right? So from all this research you've done, then what do you think makes a good result? Like, what would give someone a good result? Is it just the content? As long as you make non-malicious, good content.
Yeah,
using correct, I'm guessing like P tags, H tags and stuff. Google's gonna.
Do you know what? And this is what Google says. This is on their own. There's a really good page, and I'll try and dig it out for the show notes. But it says it's something about like how to make a good site, and it basically alludes to the fact that if you've got good content, your site will do well if it's relevant. There are too many sites that have been. I think in its own words, it says, "Look, don't write the web page to attract the search engine, do it to attract the end users," and that's exactly how I think the web should be. I think
that's how it's meant to be, but because obviously people want to game the system,
exactly.
They want to know the secret sauce. They want to try and hack, and that's what you get link farming. And
things. And I think that's really sad actually. But for me, I would say if I could say one thing from my results that I can show pretty clearly, and it's very obvious actually, is that the site, the URL is still massively important,
really,
especially like the sort of top level domain.
What's actually in that top level domain? The content of that,
exactly.
So 3devsandamaybe.com is a very good URL to have then.
If people are searching for free developers and a maybe, then I think there's a good chance they will find us.
Back of the net.
I don't know how much demand there is, but yeah.
Especially in the Sussex region.
Maybe we'll get a lot of consultancy work, people looking for free developers.
And a maybe. And they may need another one, but they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But so I don't know. My results could be completely way off, but there is a correlation there, and it does sort of suggest that is the case. I did actually. I mean, spent the most amount of money I've ever spent on domain. I spent £40 on kentseo.io, and to kind of test that theory actually. The domain. But I've just kind of run out of time. I didn't buy it for business purposes. I just wanted to use it for my masters. But
are you going to carry that on after it? Well, I say that seeing as you've got infinite time to be able to do
exactly. I mean, to be honest with you, as much as I've done this project, I have no interest in SEO really. I mean, I personally, I would like...
It was for the machine learning and kind of those bits, wasn't it?
It was a good sort of
apologies, that noise is the coffee machine going off, which
is silent.
It is silent. It is a silent coffee machine.
You can't notice it. It's crazy.
It scares the living crap out of me every time it does it. I do honestly think I've been attacked by aliens.
You do have an cron job that runs like every half hour.
Yeah, I've got a cron job on the machine, on the system. Absolutely.
But yeah, I wish the web was more kind of hadn't been taken over by SEO people, to be honest with you, because
it's become very marketing. But I like to see that Google fight them, And
I think,
true. Yeah, and I think that's kind of like good content rises to the to the top because it is that's what people will look at. And to be honest with you, if you do go to a website that has crap content, you will not spend that much time on it, and you'll go off and you'll find something that's good. Google then will know about that because based on Google Analytics or the Google Chrome browser or whatever it uses, it'll be able to find it. And I mean, it's scary though. I mean, I know I'm that person who does a Google search. I mean, we're all these people. I can't remember if there is a name for it. You just, the top of the page, like you go do a Google search, and if it's not the first page or something, you just change the tweet. What is it? First page or something. You want to be on the first page or in the top of the first page. Those are the echelon you want to be at. Because that's all what people do because they'll refine their search because they'll think,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, certainly above the fold.
That's it. Above the fold. Yeah, above the fold on Google, single on the search page.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that is then also the air freshener mover. Honestly, these are all on cron jobs. I was going to say that the coffee machine wasn't there like a funny April Fool's once that HTTP coffee kettle or something. There was a status code or something that someone made that they were like saying that that we should have like a status code for coffee or something. I'm sure it is.
Well, I'm impressed by the time of the crons. You've obviously got the air freshener to cancel out the coffee.
I do like the smell.
2 minutes after.
Very nice, yeah. That's just to keep exactly the freshness in the room, And obviously now I've got the new back boiler. Well, back boiler's gone, and now we've got a nice combi boiler.
Yeah,
that has actually got its own MAC address. We live in a world now where a boiler has its own MAC address, which is quite amazing. But it's quite fun being able to use your iPhone just to do your stuff.
So now I've waffled on for 20 minutes. What have you been up to?
Absolutely nothing. No,
cool. Right. Good show.
No, I mean, so a couple of things actually have happened this week. I went to a recruitment fair for my builder. It was Silicon Milkroundabout. Went on last Sunday, and that was really interesting. Yeah. Completely out of my comfort zone. Completely. Anyone who knows me knows I can talk for Britain, but I get quite nervous. Like if I'm having to be the person, especially if it was in front of crowds or it's instigating the conversation initially. Yeah. I'm not going to be that type of guy. But I just put on this kind of game face of no, right, we're just going to do it. We want to get good developers, and the only way of doing that is by talking to them and stuff. Yeah. And it was really interesting. Like you just get into a zone, and I was just jacked up on espressos all day because it was a long day. Like I don't know how a couple of people have to do it for both days. And I don't know how they did that because it is draining talking to people. I don't know how, because obviously as a developer we don't really communicate a lot with loads of different people, in that it's quick succession. But no, it was really interesting trying to find people, and talking to people and seeing how the stacks and stuff, and realising how much hate there is still for PHP.
Really?
Yes. It really does annoy me quite a bit, actually. One of my first questions with some people were, specifically because what happens is you get like a little lanyard and you can stick your stickers on of what you do and stuff.
Yeah.
And people would come along, you'd see, they're interested, what they're doing. A lot of data scientists, lots of people doing machine learning kind of stuff, which was quite surprising because I was thinking how many, because it's quite a new field, I'm guessing people just want to get into it, and it's one of those things, but... Yeah, no. So you see their stickers, and you're like, I'll talk to them and stuff. And you'd ask them like, are you a fan of working with PHP and stuff? Because really in our stack, we do a lot of React stuff and we do a lot of other bits and bobs. But if you're not going to touch any PHP code, you're not really going to be getting much into a lot of what we do. Yeah, a lot of our APIs and stuff, and a lot of our real systems processes. So one of the things was, to ask them, and they'd be like, I used to do it 10 years ago or something. And it does kind of, people are so naive. I would hope that I never get that way with a language. Yeah. Maybe I'm that way with Java, and I mean it jokingly because I understand now, even Java 9's coming out now. Yeah. I understand the swings and roundabouts it's gone to, from being on the JVM. The JVM's a lovely platform. Java is a good language. It's tried and tested, it's a corporate language that's been used a lot. And, it's moved into being getting strings, to getting finally getting closures and things like that. But the hatred, not the hatred, but kind of the lack of
belittling of
the lack of awareness that PHP requests pretty much make up most of the requests on the web today. If you take into account how big Facebook and things are. It just bamboozled me. It really did, not me. Where people would think that PHP is just this kind of, spaghetti language still. And it's, obviously, if you're listening to this, obviously it's not. Or maybe you don't, but it really does bamboozle me. And it's just a tool for the job. So we did speak to some people and it was great where they were, use the right tool for the job. And that's exactly how you should be. You shouldn't sign up for a language and be with that for the rest of your life. Yeah. Or else we all would be classic ASP people, wouldn't we?
I agree. And I mean, one of the things I worry about with my master's degree is that I wrote my final project in PHP. I started in Java and I just got fed up. So I moved back to PHP, but I do worry that it'll go against me in some ways.
It's crazy. I don't get it. It's a grown-up language. Yeah. It's a grown-up language now. Anything you want to do in another language, I'm sure you could do in PHP.
Oh, yeah.
As readable. I mean, maybe some things no, but, it's a great language, general purpose language that does the job of the web really well. Yeah. And also with other things, background processes and stuff, does it fine. I was really interested. It was really fun experience. Completely out of my comfort zone. Really enjoyed it though, talking to all these developers and stuff, and kind of speaking to a lot of different people, with different backgrounds, or what their what stacks they use and what they've used and stuff, and seeing some fresh out of uni people, which was so good. Like, they're so green, and it's so lovely to see them, and it's great. You could spot them a mile away. These lovely innocent uni people that were just coming in, and you're like, I know you, but being one of those once upon a time. But other than that though, what have I been doing? So I've been upgrading Kong. Had some interesting stuff with upgrading Kong. So that's the API gateway you're talking about. But been doing that and moving away from Cassandra, so originally Kong, you needed to use Cassandra, the key value store. And it's a columnar database, so it's kind of like forever as many columns as you would want in a database. You can store it, kind of thing. But so dealing with that, but that's on Java and stuff, and it was quite heavy. And to be honest, we always wanted to use a Postgres. We knew it was coming out, but by the time last year, it was still not. It was kind of still in development, the Postgres stuff. Okay. So we went with Cassandra. We've had that in production for a year. It's worked fine, but we would prefer, ideally, to remove... We don't use anything else with Java. It's the only reason why we would have JVM on our stack and have that on is because of Cassandra, and it's dealing with the file monitoring, logging, etc. like that, and it's dealing with monitoring on it, and our expertise with Postgres. So fortunately, they've merged in, and now in 0.9, you've got Postgres support. So I've been doing that and moving that over, and I'll be getting that deployed next week. On top of that, had some interesting fun. Actually, I had a really interesting fun with Opera a couple of weeks ago. I didn't explain this to you actually on last episode. So Opera Mini. Have you ever used Opera Mini?
No.
Oh God, but don't. All right. Okay. Again, this is me being nasty, isn't it? Where I'm completely slating something. I say that with PHP. This is what people like, but don't know. So Opera Mini in turbo mode. So we were having some issues with people just not. And this is again the nice thing about unlocking your logs and being able to see problems when they happen. And I've been really impressed with Sentry actually today. That's been really cool. So one of the problems we had was them. They just weren't able to access the site. It was coming up saying, sorry, no, you're not allowed to access the site. And it was throwing saying, that their request had been invalid. I was like, that's really weird. So we were looking through his requests and stuff. And I was playing around with my phone and I was able to emulate the problem. I'm like, although Opera isn't a use browser, it's always good to probably have, support for something, that's around. Yeah. And it turned out that the problem was because so Opera Mini in turbo mode uses a proxy. Mm-hmm. They proxy you use their Opera-fied version, so they proxy your request through their Opera version.
So that's one of the reasons why it's supposed to be quicker, because they
compress the assets, they do all the stuff with it, So they do that. So what actually happens then is you get a proxy request to your server.
Yeah.
Now what we were having though was it turned out that a lot of people use the HTTP X forwarded for header.
Yes,
fine.
I do. Yeah.
But there's also another one called just forwarded, I think, or HTTP forwarded. But we weren't taking that into consideration. And what was happening was Symfony, when it got to Symfony checks to make sure that these are all the same. If they're not the same, then it goes, sorry, and they weren't the same. There was a problem with it because the forwarded bit, it wasn't exactly the same. Yeah. So in the end, what we do is we just strip out at the top layer when we do our SSL termination. Now we strip out all the other forwardeds and we say, look, we know it's for this person. Use this throughout our whole stack. But it was one of those interesting ones where it's just like trying to debug it, but fortunately with Logly, it's so good.
Yeah.
But other than that, quite a few blog posts actually have been released. So last week before we did the recruitment fair, we kind of did like a couple of blog posts, just released, some interesting stuff that we've been doing over the time. And I had a chance to look at some things it was one of these interesting problems to do with, I don't know if I explained it, and I didn't explain it in the last podcast, and I'll stop yabbing on after this. But constraint-based ordering. Right. So the idea is that we wanted to display on the site shortlist fees. Or no, sorry, not shortlist fees. We wanted to display the latest shortlists.
Yeah.
Or latest, jobs. Yeah. And their fee the shortlist fee that they actually cost for tradesmen. So they could see, these are the currently published jobs, that have been approved, and this is the shortlist fee they're at and stuff. So as a developer, what you do is you just go in, you say, find me the latest approved jobs and order them by, when they've been approved, and dump it on the page. Yeah. And then you look at it aesthetically, and you show Will, our designer, is like, well, they don't look that nice because there could be 5, because you want to kind of show the distribution of there's so many different types of payments, shortlist fees. Maybe what happens is that you get a chunk of them and it's 5 of them in a row or a couple in a row, all of £3 fees. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really look that nice anymore. So what you're really looking for is a constraint-based ordering, not ordering based on when they're approved at, but really based on, I want them to be the latest, but I also want them to kind of be jumbled around a bit to make them look a bit distributed.
Yeah.
So I was looking into ways of doing that, and I wrote a blog post on the tech blog, and I'll put it in my blog as well, just linking to the tech blog, and I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, just talking about like how that problem and then solving that problem. And really what I went with was the idea of sorting them all out. So you sort all to fetch like a bunch of leads. So say we fetched the last 10 leads, and then you sort them all. You then partition them into 3 partitions, and then you interleave all those ones together. And the idea there is, of course, a lot of them could be if you had them all duplicates, you are reliant on the base data, but at least that will give you an even distribution of high, medium, lows, essentially, kind of throughout, and it will give a bit more feel. And it is funny where it's that kind of aesthetics. I never forget where Steve Jobs, you have shuffle on your you have shuffle on your on your music and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's random. It was,
Yeah.
What people really wanted though was they don't want shuffle; they want smart shuffling, which is shuffling songs that they would actually really want to listen to and stuff. So you've gone from the random, which is what we as developers love, to actually putting this constraint randomness.
Yeah.
And then other than that, there's another blog post I did, which was on the finally released the stuff we talked about last week, where I was yabbing on about the stuff to do with. All the command stuff and all of the, using supervisor and stuff, and being able to send that out, and which was good. But yeah, I think we've hit the 40-minute mark.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, it wouldn't be an episode of 3 Devs and Movie if I didn't plug something that I've not used or seen.
Plug away, sir.
Plug away. So you maybe you've seen it because I actually plugged it to you without seeing it. But especially like if you're, well, for anyone, but particularly if you're British or interested in this kind of thing. But there was the thing on BBC iPlayer on demand. What was it? Britons who designed the world or something? Or
not big-headed at all. I love that. It's like Britons. Was it the British Empire or something? We just take over the whole world. Not anymore.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not. I don't know what the word is, nationalist or anything like that. But
he wants to take over the world.
You don't have to be British, and I don't think British are better than anyone else. Yeah, but I think it was like looking at people like Johnny Ives, who I really admire. Not a designer, but I just think it's incredible what he's achieved and what he's done. And I think like the guy who made the Sinclair, was it Clive Sinclair? Have I got that right? Oh dear, I'm going to get it wrong. But
this is what it's good having a computer next.
Yeah,
and we can be like, actually, fact checker.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, you think it's Clive, do you?
Oh, it could be completely wrong.
Clive Sinclair.
Hey. So, it's just really good. Well, I say it's a really good program. I've not watched it, but it looked really interesting, and it was on in the background when I was out for dinner the other night, and I couldn't watch it because we were having a meal. So, but yeah, it might be worth a watch. Don't know. Let me know.
I love Mick. Always, your plugs are great.
Check it out for me.
What do you think of this coffee, though? Kenko, eh?
Coffee is great.
Yeah,
it's
good
rich,
roast, dark
good
roast.
Aroma.
Yeah.
How much do we get for this plug?
I don't know. We still haven't had a word back from Kenko. Come on, dude.
That's all I've got. So
no, that's fine. I think, audience, it's been another great episode. I say in my humble opinion, it's been the best episode ever. It's been the second episode that we've done live.
Yeah.
But the best episode we've ever done live. That's only in 2 people in this new house. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. It's my first in the new house. Well, hey, and we've got heat and it's warm. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's living the dream, guys. Right. Well, we're going to get back to work, and we'll speak to you guys next week.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.